Hello and welcome back to the lab. This is the 14K gold we inquarted and are now dissolving out all the base metals with nitric acid boils. It has been soaking overnight in a 1-to-1 distilled water and nitric acid solution that it was boiled in yesterday. Now I'm going to put it back up on the heat and see if the acid has any life left in it. If it's still strong enough to do anything, it'll produce fumes. I do these boils over and over again until no more fumes are produced and the acid does not change color. On the heat, and let's see what it has left to give. It looks like the charge of acid is either spent or too weak to be effective on the gold we have left in the beaker. I'm going to pour it off into my sterling beakers. I use these beakers to consume any remaining nitric acid. Before the next boil, I'm going to rinse the gold to get most of the blue solution off. The next boil, I'll need to be able to see any color change. This will tell me how close I am. The gold is now rinsed clear of any blue solution. I am now preparing the next 1-to-1 charge of nitric acid and distilled water. We can just dump that right on in. Give things a good mix. And right up on the heat. From the way the sterling beaker is reacting, I can tell there is plenty of acid left, just lacking the strength to dissolve any further base metals. We're getting close. That was on boiling for about 45 minutes with very little fume production and a slight blue tint to the acid. I'm going to let this soak for a while I run in for a bit. I'll be right back. Due to the lack of fumes and a light color change, I think I'm going to save this acid for the next refining. However, due to the color change, I am going to have to keep going with the boils. The next gold refining I do, this will be the first acid I use on the first nitric boil. Pat this down so none of the gold pours off. The heating element's cold. Now we'll get this in my flask. Well, those are both empty. This will need to be rinsed a few times so I can get an accurate read on the color change of the acid. I am going to transfer this into a smaller beaker just for ease of handling. This is always a bit awkward. Metal and glass are not good friends. There we go. Now I'll just rinse this and our gold down and we'll get started boiling again. I don't think I have any more room in that sterling beaker. I'll have to switch them around. Preparing the next 1-to-1 charge of nitric acid and distilled water. And we're just going to go ahead and use all that. I am going a little heavier on the nitric this time, about 75 distilled water and 150 ml of nitric. So the ratio is now 2-to-1. I'll dump this in and get it back up on the heat. I'll boil the nitric acid for 15 to 20 minutes and see where we're at. Boiling now for 15 minutes, no fumes, no color change. That was an additional 15 minutes for a total of a 30-minute boil. Now that it's cooled down a bit, I'll save this acid as well. As before, I'll put the acid in my flask and use it for the next refining, and rinse down the gold. These two silver-bearing solutions have to be put away while I'm working with the hydrochloric acid. Now that they're gone, we'll begin to make aqua regia. We'll start with about 300 ml of hydrochloric acid. Sulfuric acid, about 1 to 2 ml of sulfuric acid should take care of any lead. And nitric acid. I think I'll go with about 10 ml to start and incrementally dose from there. Each draw of the pipette, I'm getting about 2.5 ml. I'll add some heat and let it go. Fume production is slowed down. I'm going to add about 5 more ml. I'm going to go ahead and add 5 more ml for a total of 20 milliliters. I'm going to add 1 more ml. There's a little bit in the back of the beaker that's yet to dissolve. Once it dissolves, I'll spin the beaker around. I'll then boil off any excess nitric acid to denox the chloroauric acid. The color of this solution is just awesome. Now I'll begin the denox. The way this works is by boiling the solution, it drives off the nitric acid via evaporation. Once no more fumes are produced, I know I have driven off all the nitric acid. Well, I don't think we've quite driven off all the nitric acid, but it's pretty late and I'm pretty tired, so I'm going to call it here for the day. Tomorrow we'll pick up right where we left off and continue the boils to drive off the nitric acid. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it.